Greg Gutfeld thought it was just another night behind the desk, another joke, another laugh. But this time, that smirk of his unleashed something no one saw coming. It wasn't just comedy. It was a cultural explosion. One line, one jab, and suddenly, America was on fire. What started as late-night banter turned into a national spectacle, political fury, viral chaos, and a feud so loud it shook the internet from coast to coast. And the target of his joke? None other than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the congresswoman known for her fearless clapbacks and razor-sharp comebacks. The woman who never blinks under pressure. That night, Greg leaned back in his chair with that trademark grin, eyes glinting under the studio lights, like he knew exactly what he was about to start. He looked into the camera, the silence before the storm, and said, "Tonight, we're talking about the congresswoman who tweets faster than she legislates." The audience burst into laughter, but it wasn't the light-hearted kind. It had an edge, the kind that slices deeper than anyone expects. Greg wasn't just cracking jokes. He was crafting a takedown in real time, word by word. Then came the line that detonated across social media. "Every time AOC talks," he said, pausing just long enough to make sure everyone heard him, "I get flashbacks to that one college roommate who read half of the Communist Manifesto and thought they'd just solved humanity." Boom! The studio howled. The clip was viral before the segment even ended. Hashtags lit up within minutes. But Greg wasn't done yet, not by a long shot. He leaned forward again, tone dripping with sarcasm, pretending to analyze her like a case study. "She tells us billionaires are the problem," he said, his eyebrows raised, while sipping a $12 green smoothie, streamed live from a $1,000 phone. The crowd roared. Cameras flashed. Producers knew instantly this wasn't just another episode. It was the kind of TV moment that spirals out of control the second it hits the internet. What no one knew yet was that this joke, this seemingly harmless bit, was about to explode into one of the most talked-about feuds of the year. Smartphone, dressed head to toe in a $3,000 designer outfit. The crowd lost it. Thunderous laughter, clapping, whistles. The kind of chaotic applause that makes a host feel invincible. Then one panelist chimed in with a smirk that only added fuel to the fire, calling her the Che Guevara of Whole Foods. Greg's grin widened. You could practically see the punchline forming before he said it. "No, no," he shot back smoothly. "She's the Joan of Arc of avocado toast." The studio walls practically rattled. Laughter echoed so loudly, it felt like the roof might lift off. But right when it seemed like the bit was over. Greg flipped the script. He reached under the desk, pulled out a thick stack of printed tweets, and laid them out dramatically. "All right," he said, eyes gleaming. "Let's play a little game I like to call moral grandstanding, or real policy." Behind him, a massive screen lit up, glowing in green and blue. One by one, the points from AOC's Green New Deal filled the screen in bold letters: universal income, zero emissions everything, banning air travel, retrofitting every single building in America. Greg stared at the list, eyes wide in mock disbelief, flipping through the pages like a novel he couldn't believe was real. Then with a half grin, he said, "At this rate, we're just one amendment away from free unicorn rides." The audience cracked up again, but this time, the laughter had changed. It wasn't carefree anymore. It was sharp, curious. People leaned forward, realizing that behind the jokes, Greg was slicing deep. His voice dropped, serious now, cutting through the noise. "She's not selling solutions," he said slowly, his words deliberate. "She's selling a brand." The studio went quiet. Even the laughter hung in the air, unfinished. The atmosphere thickened, heavy like a thundercloud about to burst. Then came the final line, the one that would echo across the internet by morning. "This isn't politics," he said. "It's influencer cosplay with a congressional badge." Applause thundered. The studio shook. But far from the laughter and lights, across the city, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez sat watching. Her expression, unreadable at first, turned to fury. Within minutes, her fingers flew across her keyboard. A single tweet appeared on her feed, sharp as a blade and aimed directly at him. "Imagine being a grown man who has to punch down at young women for ratings. Couldn't be me. No tags, no names, no need." Everyone knew exactly who she meant. The internet erupted instantly. Fans flooded her replies with cheers and fire emojis. "Go off!" they screamed. "Drag him!" Others rushed to Greg's defense, turning the comment sections into digital battlegrounds. Hashtags exploded, videos clipped and reposted. What had started as a joke was now a national showdown. Politics versus personality, satire versus outrage. Greg's fans weren't about to stay silent. Within minutes, Twitter transformed into an all-out war zone. Hashtags like Gutfeld AOC began flooding every corner of the platform. His supporters spammed memes, clips, and fiery replies, defending their guy like digital soldiers in a midnight brawl. Meanwhile, AOC's mentions were overflowing with praise. Thousands were cheering her on, calling her brave, bold, unstoppable. The internet had officially chosen sides, and it was chaos. But just when it looked like AOC might step back, she struck again, sharper, louder, and even more direct. Only 10 minutes later, a new tweet hit her feed. "Mock all you want, but some of us are trying to do something while others just talk." The words sliced through the noise like glass. Every outlet from CNN to the Daily Mail picked it up within the hour. It wasn't just a tweet anymore. It was a declaration. This wasn't comedy versus politics. It was a war of worlds. And Greg? He wasn't about to back down either. The very next night, he walked into his studio with the same smug calmness of a man ready to throw gasoline on a growing fire. "Apparently," he began, his tone mock serious, as he straightened his papers, "I'm a sad grown man now." The audience chuckled nervously, sensing what was coming. He smirked, leaned into the camera, and delivered the hit with surgical precision. "Still better," he said coolly, "than being a delusional influencer who thinks she's starting a revolution." From an iPhone. The crowd exploded. Laughter rolled through the studio like thunder. But beneath that laughter was a chill, an edge. Everyone could feel it. This wasn't just about jokes anymore. It was personal. Then the story took another explosive turn. Just 24 hours later, AOC went live on MSNBC, and she wasn't holding back. Her tone was fierce, her eyes blazing with that unmistakable conviction that made her famous. "I'm tired," she snapped, her voice cutting through the air like steel, "of these late-night clowns turning serious issues into comedy routines." The audience fell silent. Even the host looked stunned as she leaned forward and delivered her final blow live, unfiltered, and aimed directly at Greg. "If Greg Gutfeld wants to debate ideas," she said, "let's do it. Anytime. Anywhere." It wasn't just a statement. It was a dare. Broadcast live across America. Back at Fox, Greg leaned back in his chair, eyes glinting with that same dangerous amusement that started all this. He wasn't angry. He was ready.